Okay, this is just a quick video to go over how to actually create a database using the MySQL shell and also create a table inside of that database. So the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to SSH into your server. So in this case, I have SSH root at and then my IP address. I'm going to show you how to do this through root because I do recommend you do this through root. All right, so once you do that, you just hit the enter and then you put in your password. And once everything goes through, you should, I'll go ahead and clear my screen here so we can go to the top. You should basically have or be logged into your server. Okay, so that's the first step. You just need to make sure you can log into your server. If you can't do that, you won't be able to do any of this. Now, as far as creating the database as a table, that's actually pretty simple. If you go to the book and you go to the create the database section, which is on page at this point, I'm making this video is on page 262, but that may change as this book gets updated. So just look for create a database, and basically it's just a one-line command right there. So what you have to do first, you have to create your database, then you have to actually put the table into the database, but the database needs to exist first. Okay, so to do the create database, that's actually pretty simple. You go back into your server here, log into your MySQL shell, which is MySQL, and then I always do root, and then it's now remember the password is going to be whatever your database password is. Okay, it's not the same as your server password. So you do this MySQL, you root p, enter your password, and now you're at the MySQL shell. Now, in order to create the database, it's really simple. You just take this command right here, and you can type it or copy and paste it. All right, whatever you want to do, I'll just copy and paste it. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go right back here to my my window, and I'll paste this in here. And I'm going to go ahead and create the database Scott test, and it's done. Okay, as soon as I did that, I've now created Scott test. Now I'm done with that. I can exit out of MySQL by just doing exit, and that puts me back in my server right here. Okay, so that's step one. Now, the other part is I have to actually create a table. Well, again, if you go to the book, you hit the create a table right here, and I have some sample code for creating a table. And this is on page, at this point in time, it's on page 263, but obviously as this book changes, it might be on another page. But just look for create a table. And in almost all the assignments I give you, you really only have one table you need to create. And it just depends on what you want to do. So you can just grab this code right here, copy it, and what I would do is I would open up, say, Notepad, okay, and you can paste it right inside a Notepad just like this. All right, so I'm going to create a table. You know what? Since my database is called Scott Test, I'll just call my table names. Okay, I'm just going to do something like that, names. And instead of having customer ID, I'm just going to change that to ID. And I'm going to change this one just to first underscore name. And I'm going to change this one to last underscore name. And for my characters, I'm going to have 255 and 255 here. And I'm not going to give the rest of the information just to show you that all you got to do is just delete it. Okay, so I'm going to have basically 3 columns in this table. Okay, or in another way of saying it, 3 fields. Now, I have this ID. This is my auto increment. So my primary key is going to be that ID. So I just want to make sure to change this one to ID. I'm done. Now, I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to go File, and I'm going to save it or save it as. And I'm just going to throw it on my desktop just to put it somewhere. All right, I'm going to put it on my desktop right here, and I'm going to have it be called Scott Test.sql. Okay, so I have it Scott Test.sql. I'm just going to save it right there to my desktop. So I've got this file saved to my desktop. Now, what you need to do is you need to take this and you need to put it on the server. And that's actually very easy to do. You can use FileZilla, WinSCP. There's multiple different applications you can use to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just use WinWSCP right here. And I just need to put in my IP address, which I always forget. So let me just think. I have it up here somewhere. All right, right there it is. Okay, so I need my IP address right here for the server that I want to put this on. And I put this in. All right, and my port number is always going to be 22. and my username is going to be root, and my password for this is going to be whatever the password is. Okay, so that's the information I need. I need to make sure I have my IP address, my port number, root, and then my password, and I click log in. If everything works, I'm going to basically have a blank screen over here, which is going to be the root or the server side, and this is going to be the client side. Now, all I need to do here, you can see they put me into root right off the bat. I don't want to go to root. I actually want to go up a level. So if I double click, I want to go here where I can see everything. And remember where everything is located. We have var www html. Okay, so you can see it's right there, var www html. Remember, that's where everything's located. And then inside of there, I have the CPS 276 folder. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my SQL file just inside this 276 folder. But actually, it really doesn't matter where you put it, as long as you put it somewhere where you know it is. Okay, I'm just going to put it here just for the sake of this video. So I come over here, and I'm on my desktop already, right there. And if you didn't know how to get to your desktop, say for example it wasn't already there, you can just look for it right here. Here's desktop. And I'm going to go try to find that Scott test folder. So I have it right here. Okay, and I'm just going to drag it over to here. And that's it. Now it's on the server. That's all I really need to do. And actually, I don't need this anymore. I'm all done. Okay? And terminate the session. All right. So I've got that. Now I go back into this, and I'm at my root now. So what I need to do is I go cd var www html and cps 276 because I want to go into the folder that contains that SQL file. And when I do it, right there, I have Scott test SQL. See that? Okay, so the SQL file is on the server now. That's what I need to do. Now let's go back to the book for a minute. If I go back to the book, and it's down just a little ways, it's actually towards the bottom of the chapter. You can see importing the database right there. And when I click on that, that's somewhere around page 282. Again, that may change depending on what version of the book we're looking at. But you can see that right here, I show you kind of how to do it. But this is the line of code that you need right here. Okay, once it highlights it for me. Okay, it doesn't want to do it for me. Don't know why. Oh, there we go. Okay, so got that. And I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to basically just paste that in and then modify it. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is say, well, what was my file name? And since I'm in that same folder, I can just access the file directly. Now, if I wasn't, I'd have to have the relative path to where the file is, which you could do, but I'm just trying to show you the easy way to do it. Okay, so there's a SQL file that I'm going to import. That little arrow thing shows that I'm importing it. Where am I going to import it to? I'm going to import it to the database, which is Scott underscore test, just like that. So I have MySQL user root, P, I don't put in the password yet, and then I'm putting it into my Scott test database, and I'm using the Scott test SQL file. It really doesn't matter what you call the SQL file as long as you know it's the one you want to use. Okay, so I come over here, and I'm going to press enter. It's going to ask me for my password again. That's, again, my database password, not my server password. And if I have nothing show up, that usually means it worked. But I want to now make sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into MySQL again, which I should say to log into my SQL shell. And let me come back up here. So you can see I'm up here. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to use that database. So I'm going to go use Scott test. Okay, and the database got changed. And now I'm going to go show tables. And there it is. There's my names table right there. Okay, that was the table that I put in. Remember, we called it names. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go explain names. And there's all the fields that I have. I have ID, first name, last name, and my char. So now I'm set. Now I can go and start going through PHP and entering information to the database using PDO and all the other stuff that, depending on when you're watching this video, we're either going to be learning that during the semester or we've already learned that. So anyway, that is just a very quick, here's how easy it is to put a data table into a database. And just so you understand, you don't have to do one table at a time. If you want to, you could write multiple tables, set up their relationships, everything else, and put it all in as one big file. but I'm just showing you an easy way of putting the tables in because most of our assignments are just single table assignments. Okay, and don't forget to get out of it, you just exit. Okay, and then to get out of your server, you can just write log out. All right, and that's going to be it. Okay, that's it for this video.